it's in an interesting location, it's up by, anyway, write that down, Jason, because I really think that's a great place. And it's something you can get through pretty quickly. I love the National Gallery too, which is an art museum.
Is that where American Gothic is at? I think I have seen it before.
The only Da Vinci in the Western Hemisphere is in that.
I think I have seen it. It's been 25 minutes since I've been there, so.
It's a great museum too. There's a lot of great museums there.
Yes.
That won't bother me.
I wish I had that much time. I'd love to be the chaplain more, but.
I like to go down about once a week, once every 10 days. Bullshit, deal with the
Check
local
the
guys.
base, yeah.
And then
My wife gives me hell if I come home and have 2 beers.
then there's sometimes, I'll go stop at a place and I see some of these guys die.
I'm not going in there. I'm with you. Well.
You saw my email. Thank you for your response. You obviously saw my email on the thing. I think it's up to Dom. I think he recommended we might table that one. I do think the original.
I think he's thinking a little bit ahead with making those constitutional amendments. Have a full discussion about those.
My only problem is we never come back to things to solve.
We need to get this done, because that guy's gonna get it.
I absolutely agree on those 2 things to be changed. I listed like 4 other problems I have concerns with it. Those first 2 that you have recommend, those are the most important. They're practically unconstitutional. I get it. But my only concern is that we won't touch it ever again. And there's so many other issues with it that I think, like you said initially, we probably just needs a complete overhaul.
Well, we've had many conversations, you and I talked about this earlier, and I'm gonna send him that I recommend. Subject to this. I love the way it's broken up in categories.
Does it have us dictating what we think is indecent or not indecent in the city? I want to be out of that business.
No, I don't think so. I think you'll like it. So if we can adopt this one tonight, correct the constitutionality problems, I'll send you that.
My only question
You
will
guys
be,
decide, you put it on the agenda for a week.
now my only question will be, is if we promise that we're going to actually address the rest of the stuff, then I won't have a problem. Hey, how are you?
Good, good.
I hear it, I hear you. You're here.
I'm here.
See, no one has emailed me since I've been on that for the last like 4 months. So I don't understand. I know, but I clearly am off the email list, and I'm going to bring that up when we get to that part of the meeting. So.
I thought I emailed you, Tom. You weren't on it?
I think you've been on it longer than 4 months, because I resigned from it like 2 years ago. You've been on it for a while, I think, right?
Yeah, like I haven't got an email from the planning commission forever.
Hey, well, we haven't had a zone commission either meeting,
Yeah,
so.
Tom, you were the first one on the list.
Really?
Yeah.
They must be spamming now.
You get their,
Honestly,
I was on it forever, and I don't get any emails about it. So.
he's marked your emails as
yeah,
spam.
actually, Dom was first, Ken Fesick was second, you were third. May 27th at 11:25 a.m.
Look at that spam folders filled with all kinds of important stuff.
It could well have gone to spam, Tom, because there were so many people on that list. The whole commission was on there.
It seems weird. I'm usually.
Well, it is like 50 people now, right?
Do they?
That board's like 50 people now, right?
I went round and round trying to figure out how many people were supposed to be on that board. Amy's helped me finally figured it out. And how that ordinance got passed, so
I don't know, but I don't know.
and why it wasn't, that was the very night I was appointed, was the night that ordinance was supposed to be called out.
Really? I didn't know that.
And you did appoint 2 other plan commission members, but the ordinance was never discussed. So I don't know what happened.
I think I was off it before then, though. I remember Dom said he thought it'd be better that the finance commissioner was on it, and I moved over to the zoning
The
board.
ordinance from 2019 says the finance commission, so I
Yep.
think you've been on it since 2000.
Yep, yep. Yep, like a couple months I was on it and that was it.
Fix that clock and more. Yep, yep, 3 months now.
Yep. Cause I remember I had to do it, cause that was, Finley appointed me to it
Fix
actually,
that
spot
tomorrow.
for 2 years before I was on the council. So I actually had to give a resignation letter for that one.
Wait for the check. Close enough.
Did you find it, Tommy, or no?
Yeah, it's in my junk.
You need to send me an email, Tom, so that it'll recognize me.
Is all mine in there too?
I do have documents.
I open the city council meeting for order.
Augubright,
Here.
Cullinan,
Here.
Curran,
Here.
Udis.
Here.
Rivara.
Here. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion and second to approve the minutes from the May 16th, 2020 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 16, 2022 regular meeting.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan. Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivara.
Aye. Public comments on agenda items only.
This is on item number 7, approval of bills, and think that we should balk on our garbage carrier. $30,000 a month. I mean, they're doing a horrible job. You can't never get a hold of them. They tell you, well, we only work till 5, but, you know, call us a few minutes before 5. Yeah, they're really gonna get over here. Last week, they went down their street and got the lawn bags on one side and the lawn bags on the other side. I'm just gonna start throwing my lawn in with my garbage because they're not reliable. And what are we paying $30,000 a month for? Let's hold about 2 months back and see if service doesn't pick up. And whatever numbers they give to this kind lady here, I mean, you call and you can't get a hold of anybody. Why are we doing business? This is 2022. Why are we doing $30,000 a month business with somebody who's done such a crappy job? They own the landfill. They've got pressure on everybody else because they own the landfill. So let's get somebody in here that's gonna do it and do a responsible job instead of, you know, a half-butt job.
Thank you. Drew, for the record, we did have a meeting with Republic last week. We've set certain goals for them to meet. We've tried to put into some checks and balances so we can get the missed garbage problems taken care of, the bulk items taken care of. So we're working on it, and hopefully within the next 30 days, we'll have those problems cleaned up.
Maybe we shouldn't sign a contract for 7 years.
Well, I was gonna say, that's another issue that we have, as you're aware, is that we can't just go out and hire somebody else. We're in a contract that was enacted before this council was actually here. So I'm not sure when that I think it's 2025 is when the contract is up. So,
Okay. We have next on the agenda is presentation by Centas Corporation in regards to centralizing the city's supply purchases.
right, so I'm here to kind of go through the service model of Cintas and see if it makes sense for you all to do business with us. So service model basically looks like this. So instead of having somebody go out and purchase your toilet paper, go out and purchase your soap, go out and purchase any facility services that you might need, we would have a scheduled truck arrive at each facility and drop off the necessary items that they might need in that facility. At that point, we also remove any dirty items, which is going to save you time. We also place in new clean items, so when it comes to safety mats, different types of floor mats, things like that, we lay down, you know, fresh mats every week for you, which is also going to save you some time, and you know, they're a lot safer than buying your Walmart mats and your Menards mats, things like that, just because the way that they're built, which we pretty much take care of ourselves. We build our own mats. We also take care of inventory management, which is going to save you time instead of burning money on shelves with, you know, excess toilet paper, excess paper towels, soap, things like that. We'll actually manage that for you, so you're not spending a bunch of money and a bunch of time putting all that in a shelf and just waiting to use it, and then sometimes it doesn't get used properly, however that works out. The other part to that is we also restock all of your dispensers. So when it comes to your bathrooms, we'll have a service professional come in. He takes care of every bathroom in every facility. He takes care of every front entrance or every high traffic area. He takes care of cleaning chemicals in a much safer way than usually I see. And kind of give you guys an idea, usually I'm having an open dialogue here, but asking questions, so I'm going off of what I usually see. So in a supply closet, you usually have chemicals laying around. If I'm not mistaken, you probably have that in your facilities now with floor cleaners, bleaches, things like that. We actually condense that into you know, one dispenser, and then our guy would be the only guy that has access to that aside from one other person at your facility who you trust and are okay with opening those dispensers up, so you're not, you know, losing chemicals or people taking chemicals out. Things like that, which is, you know, going to help you with safety, time management, also money, saving some money on chemicals. We also check with management, so each time we make a delivery, every time we stop, we check with the facility manager. We make sure that everything is taken care of and they don't have any questions or any other needs. And if so, we do take care of it on the spot and handle it. The other part, after we check in with management, we take all the dirty items, so whether that be, you know, towels or floor mats, whatever that we pick up, we take it back to our plant in Normal, Illinois, where we professionally launder it. So it's a much safer way to do business, also much cheaper because you're not buying towels and things like that consistently. The other part I wanted to touch on would be we do have a state of Illinois contract, so we've been competitively bid and publicly awarded the state contracts, and it is piggybacked off of the partnership with Omnia. So that basically what that means for you in a quick breakdown is that you get a much better discounts than a lot of other companies that we typically do business with, because it piggybacks off of that Omnia contract. Part two of that, you don't have to go up to bid for us because it's already been done. All of that is taken care of, so it's super easy to do business with us, and would most likely save you time and money. And I do have handouts that I wanted to pass out for you guys to hold on to and kind of take a look at. The last thing I kind of wanted to touch on, so we have part of our agreement is that we bring you the best quality products and the best quality service. So with that being said, like I said earlier, we design and make our own mats. They're designed for safety. They're designed to keep your floors clean, keep your floors up to date. We also do we have a contract with Signet Chemicals, which takes care of all of our dispensers for floor cleaners, sanitizers, things like that. We also take care of your mops, your microfibers, your bar towels. Have 3 different lines when it comes to your bathroom. So depending on what type of facility you're operating in, if you're wanting to increase your public image, we definitely have designs for that. We also have for a more commercial building, and then even power plants, things like that, which I can only give handouts for to touch on that. And then we also do uniform rental. So that includes exclusive partnerships with Carhartt, Chefworks, Nike, etc. But kind of give you guys an idea on that. Normally, if you're buying uniforms, there's a huge upfront cost, if I'm not mistaken. With us, there's not, so you don't pay anything up front. We buy everything for you, and then you pay for the service type of thing. So we come in every week and we take care of it. We also we do your quality control. So if you have rips, tears, anything like that, that's all included into your pricing, and we'll take care of that. So instead of buying another uniform, we'll buy that for you. And then the last part I had, we also do first aid and safety units, and we also do fire inspection. So, any questions on that? Usually I'm asking a lot of questions in this position, so.
What do you mean by fire inspection?
Well, fire,
Extinguisher.
basically, the guy that comes in and does your fire extinguishers, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha.
I have a few questions.
Yes.
Okay, so how frequently would you visit the different departments and make sure that they're at the level they need to be for stock?
That would be completely up to each facility. We offer weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly.
Is there a cost difference based on how often you come?
No, so here's, with the Omnia and the state of Illinois contracts, normally you're paying a service fee for each time somebody drops in. With the state of Illinois, you don't have that. We don't charge you a service fee, so it doesn't matter how often we come in, and it just goes based on what you used and what you need.
And now each department, whether it's, Public Works, whether it's Police Department, Fire, and Ambulance, they'll each have their own PAR that you'll work with their manager and maintain that PAR throughout? Like a minimum stocking level, you'll find out what they want to keep on hand.
Exactly, and that kind of goes into that inventory management. Part of that does take, I would say, a couple weeks to kind of determine the best avenue. The other part to that is, just because we're set on a certain number doesn't mean we can't go up or down. It's very flexible.
Okay. I thought I read on your website, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you advertise that you guys will save us 30% over Amazon prices, Walmart prices, any of the big box stores. Is that an accurate figure? Or?
So that is correct when you're dealing with your chemicals, with your soap, and then with the Omnia contract. So the Omnia and state of Illinois is what gives you those big discounts.
And that's what we would be getting is that
Exactly.
price? Okay.
Exactly.
And last question I have, not to take like everybody else here, I'm sure you guys have questions too, but do we get to pick what areas we want you guys to manage? For example, let's say we don't want to use rags, we don't want you to do the rugs, we just want you to do the cleaning supplies, the toilet paper restocking, the fire extinguishers. Do we get to pick what services we want, or is it an all-encompassing service?
No, so you can pick, each facility has its choice on what they want to use. It doesn't have to be an all-in, it could be a little bit here and there.
Does the price differ based on what services we were to choose to have done?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
if you're not using a lot, or if you're just doing our bathroom service in one facility, it's not going to be, it's going to cost less than if you had the bathroom service, the rug service, the towel service, all those things, just because you're only taking care of the bathroom inventory.
Okay, I don't think I have any questions at this point.
Do you have a black and white brochure?
Oh, I'm
A
sorry?
black and white, something that we can look at?
Absolutely.
Paper version.
Yeah, I know
It's not in black and white, though. It is in color.
You get full color now.
Okay.
You're not colorblind, right? You're good. Just kidding.
Okay,
Thank you.
So is there a length of time will be locked into the contract? How does that all work?
So we do service agreements. So ours is based off of agreeing to do service, right? We don't like to use the word contract. How it works was, the difference is, if we're not living up to our part of the deal, then you're free to move on. And we do have a service agreement of 36 months. That's what we hope to keep you for. Well,
Okay.
we hope to keep you for a lifetime, right? We want to make lifetime customers, but the minimum we try to get is with Omni is going to be 36 months, as opposed to your typical service agreement, which is 60.
Does that include a 30-day out provision?
So we don't, you can get out at pretty much any point, based off of any service, anything that goes wrong, and I can, point all that out if we need more info. I don't have it with me tonight, but, I don't mind coming back up and, stopping in and showing you, but we do have, a clause that talks about if we don't live up to our standards, or your standards rather, that you can get out.
Thank you.
When's the state of Illinois contract up?
They just renewed.
Okay, perfect.
For how many years did they renew?
I'll have to double check that, I wasn't ready for that.
That's okay, I was just curious, whether it's a yearly thing or whether
It
it's.
usually is, I believe, a yearly thing, so, June was when the renewal is, so.
I got a question for you here.
Yeah,
Referring to one of your pictures you have here, I noticed you talked about mats and stuff for removal and change out and stuff like that. You have a very specific one here that's for the Wildcats.
yeah.
Is there a way that, if we wanted to, we'd be able to get one that has the emblem and says City of Oglesby on it?
Absolutely. We do
Okay.
logo mats, pretty much whatever you can whatever you can send me a picture of, I can pretty much get on the mat. Kind of give you an example, at our corporate office, we have the Mona Lisa painting on a mat. So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Yes.
All the cleaning products, you gotta, buy a, material date,
Absolutely. When it comes to our dispensers, we're gonna have it all labeled. So it's gonna show what chemical goes with what, and it'll show, it'll have it labeled on the bottles as well for spray bottles, and then your mouth buckets.
Thank you. Thank you.
I need a motion and second to approve the bills as presented for payment.
Make a motion, we approve the bills for payment.
Second.
Augubright.
Abstain.
Cullen.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Approve 1197-060622, an ordinance amending the composition of the planning commission for the city of Oglesby, LaSalle County, Illinois.
So, are we adding people? I didn't get a list.
So maybe I should give you a little summary about this.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you?
So this came about, when Ken Fesik dug into this, and came to the realization that although your code had been changed in 2019, your municipal code, to reflect a composition of 11 members on the plan commission, to include the commissioner of finance, Utah. Yeah. It used to be Jason's department, I think, but that was changed in 2019. It includes the mayor, the commissioner of finance, and 9 members of the public. And you have 11 members on the commission as of now, 9 members of the public and those 2 people. Unfortunately, the land development code was not changed. The land development code still says 9 members of the commission. So in digging through it all and looking at all your prior ordinances and finding this discrepancy, I just thought it was good that we bring these things into sync and make them say the same thing. So all this ordinance does is recodify what the 2019 ordinance said for the municipal code, and then morphs that same language into an amendment of the land development code. The council is in total control of the membership of the commission, so Ken and I went back and forth about whether we had to do a text amendment hearing to change the land development code to reflect this membership, but the state statute says no, that the board is allowed to do that, so that's what it's about now.
Alrighty, I will make a motion to approve, hang on. I will make a motion to approve ordinance 1197060622, an ordinance amending the composition of the planning commission for the city of Oglesby, LaSalle County, Illinois.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullen.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Next is reappointment, the appointed members to the planning commission. We had, and we would normally do this in May, but we're doing it now, is Ken Fesik as chairman, Rich Greenie, and Jim Morris.
I will make a motion to reappoint / appoint members to the Plan Commission.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Review and approve recommendation from the Planning Commission for the text amendment.
Let me talk about that, Don?
You give the explanation.
So we had a hearing tonight before the Plan Commission at the request of a gentleman that wants to put an axe throwing facility in what I'm told is the Venturelli's building. Under your current land development code, that is a disallowed activity in a B1 commercial district. It gets kind of technical, but if you go into the tables in that code, indoor sports recreation participant has a dash in it, which means it's not permitted. The only other two options were to permit it or to go through a special use process for each request to allow something like that in the B1 district. This gentleman wants to get this business up and running, so I was told that you wanted to try and accommodate this as quickly as possible. And so I looked into the land development code and found that the only way we could do it quickly was to do a text amendment to allow indoor sports recreational participant activities as a permitted use in a B1 commercial district. The Plan Commission considered it and recommended to the council that they approve the text amendment to allow participant recreational sports activities in a B1 commercial district. Any questions?
I think I got that one.
I need a motion.
I will make a motion to approve 1198060622, an ordinance amending section 9.16.
That's the next
Nope.
one. That's the next one.
I'm ready to keep moving here. Review and approve recommendation from the Plan Commission for text amendment.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Number 11, rather than go through this to read it, I'm going to, I need a motion and second to table it. Till next meeting, we've got some verbiage issues that we need to go back and clean up.
I will make a motion to table 1198060622, an ordinance amending section 9.16.10 and section 5.92.20 of the municipal code of the city of Oglesby.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Approval to recommend to the Fire and Police Board for the hiring of a full-time police officer.
So this position here would be replacing the SRO, which started at the college today. So I'd like to get the process moving, because there is a process in this, so we can get them on the road and get them up and running. Any questions?
So how many
Need a
is that?
motion and second?
How many is that gonna be, just so I can keep track, because I feel like we've hired quite a few in the last 6 months. So, how many total officers are we gonna have now?
How many total are there, chief?
Okay, and including the SRO or not? 12? See, this is where it gets scary. Okay.
It was my understanding when I took over here that the previous discussions were that we were gonna hire someone when we enacted that SRO position at the college.
Yeah, that's, to me, that was one of the main advantages was even though that person's we're getting supplied the funding for that person over there, it's still another resource for the city in case there's ever an emergency. So to me, it's a no cost for us to have another officer on staff.
Okay. If there's not any other questions, I'll make a motion that we recommend to the police fire board hire a full-time police officer.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Place on file the purchase of a 2022 Ford F-550 ambulance with a 2012, Med-T modular box in the
Med-Tech, yeah.
amount of $230,000.
Let me talk about this a little bit. So unfortunately, our ambulance, our oldest ambulance, was involved in a pretty serious crash while taking a transfer from OSF Center for Health Streeter to Streamwood. They were carrying a patient with a psych condition, going to a psych unit in Carroll Stream, I believe, or Streamwood, one of the two. Anyway, they were stopped at a construction zone at a complete stop, and they were rear-ended at a high rate of speed by a box truck. The person who sustained the most serious injuries was our EMT who was in the back with the patient. He suffered, I believe, 7 broken ribs, had some internal bleeding that didn't require surgery, and was just pretty beat up. He's gonna be off work for quite some time. The driver was treated and released, and the patient also was treated and released that we were transporting. The driver of the box truck was issued 7 citations. I don't believe he had any DOT markings. I don't believe he had, didn't have a CDL. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of infractions that he was issued. So that puts us down an ambulance, and it really cuts into our ability to do transports out of town, which is the biggest moneymaker for the ambulance service. I provided the council with the figures for the last 2 years on income that was billed out by the ambulance on transfers, and I believe both years were around the $1 million mark that was billed out. I'm not saying we collected that, but that's what we did bill, so it's significant in the income it generates. So therefore, after looking at all the options, and I kind of laid everything out for the council ahead of time on this, I think our most economical option is to purchase a new chassis with what we call a remount box. So it's a 2022 Ford F550 4x4 chassis with a modular box that's made by MedTech, and it was built in 2012, and then it's been all updated for today's standards. Looks like it's brand new. Problem with this is, let's say we went with something older to get us by for a while and wanted to put that box on a new chassis. We're talking about $190,000 to remount another box on a different chassis. So financially, I think our best bet is to go with this ambulance here, the 2022 at the 2012. I got them to agree to a price of $230,000. Any questions?
Just to follow up, I think the next best option, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, was to buy a complete new one
They're 2
for like
years out.
300,000, but it's a 2-year wait.
That is correct. A new one is around the $300,000 mark, and they're a 2-year wait, and we can't afford to go without that income from the transfers for 2 years.
I would say if we had an operational one right now, that'd probably be the best option to go with, because it also helps spread the distance between the newer ones, but because we're already out one and we're gonna lose all that transfer money in the first place, I agree this is probably the best option.
So I have a
Terry,
question, oh, I'm sorry.
I got a question. Have we got an estimate what we'd get for the wrecked ambulance?
We're still working on equipment, and Amy was working I challenged them with finding, just for the vehicle, they were offering us $16,000, which isn't much. I tasked them with finding a replacement at that cost. So I'm still working with them, and I'm not satisfied with that answer. Equipment-wise, we're probably looking at the neighborhood of $60,000 to $70,000 worth of lost equipment. They will, I think they will cover that.
What year was
yes.
this ambulance?
2002.
We'll cover the replacement cost of the equipment inside of the vehicle itself is like $16,500.
Well, my question is, how do they come up with that figure? There's not like a Kelly Blue Book on ambulances.
Are we
so-
dealing with our insurance company or the people that,
No, it was our insurance company that gave it that $16,000 number, and like I said, I'm not happy with that, and I think we need to go back into negotiations with them, and
We're not certain insurance.
I would agree. We gotta move forward, we gotta replace the ambulance.
right.
Yep.
We're losing income every moment we wait. And my question for Pat is, on something like this, Pat, do we have to place it on file, or can it be an emergency purchase?
It can be an emergency purchase.
Are you guys comfortable going that route?
Yeah. I thought didn't we place it on file last?
No,
No.
Okay,
we talked about, we didn't
We
have any
talked
hard
about it.
numbers.
okay.
Okay, I will make a motion that we purchase a 2022 Ford F-550 ambulance with a 2012 MedTech modular box in the amount of $230,000 from Foster Coach in Sterling, Illinois.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan. Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Approve changes to the City of Oglesby Communications Hazard and Outage Plan.
So, a couple years ago, we created version 1.0. I imagine most of the commissioners and mayors probably never looked at this. I think I might be the only one that uses it. It's, the pages in the back is what gives us our formats for when we send messages out. I know like the clerk's office and maybe the police will use that when we have a code red. I might have used it over the weekend if there's ever been an outage or something like that. The only thing that's been added to it was, for the next item, we're gonna talk about approving the plan for load shedding. And one of the things that we talked about mentioning in there, the previous administration created something about activation of the city's warming centers for in the wintertime when there's a problem or something like that. I think it's only ever been done a couple times where they came in here to do something like that. But I thought the same thing where we would activate the city's cooling centers. So for any reason that power has to be out and it's an extremely hot day, we have some elderly people that need to be on oxygen or something like that, that they could either come to City Hall here or the fire station. So that's it's on Code Red, Section F is the only thing that's new to it. It basically says activation of the city's cooling centers by mayor, utilities commissioner, or health and safety commissioner. And we can modify that or keep it or whatever, but I thought it'd be a good opportunity to keep it in there. Everything else is the same.
Discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the City of Oglesby Communications Hazard and Outage Plan version 1.1.
Second.
Augubright.
Aye.
Cullinan. Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Approve plan for load shedding.
So I know we talked about this, I think it was the last meeting. So what you have now is a new modified version. Upon talking to the IMEA, the only changes that we really made to it was we softened the language up a little bit, and we are not gonna be putting out the full details to all the businesses of which exact businesses or procedures we would take of how we had to shut something down. The recommendation they gave was they cited a couple examples, I think of, where was that place? It's up north, it's up north of here, that they put out plans and procedures that the city would take to shut down certain power grids or sources. And then when they did, they found out that there was a lot of places that were broken into. So they recommended against us putting that kind of details out. So the version I have here has most of that same information, does talk about the contingency plan if we lose power for everything in the city, how you could either go to City Hall or the fire station for contingency events and things like that. But if anybody has any questions, now's the time. Otherwise, I'd like to get this out to the businesses before the hot days start. Not that the IMEA suspects that this will have to happen, but it'd be terrible for us to just sit and talk about it and all of a sudden we do have an emergency power event and have to shut people down without having to send something out.
I hope everybody understands why we needed to go and develop some kind of a plan. Basically, there is no requirement, since we are a deregulated state, that these generation companies have to keep plants open. It's a matter of economics, and basically what it amounts to is that they have chosen to go this route because they can make more money. And we're saddled with it. You know, hopefully some of the alternative energy will pick up the slack, but we're not there yet. So trying to get ahead of the curve, if we're called to do that, we have developed and have a plan in place. This will only occur when they can't provide us the generation to keep our load going.
There is one other recommended change that we had that I did include in here. In addition, because we're not putting out the details of the specifics, we're offering an opportunity on June 13th at 2 p.m. that all the businesses are invited to come to City Hall and they can ask any specific questions to figure out the plan and stuff like that. So Those are the only two changes that was made to the draft of the last meeting. Any questions, concerns?
I'll need a motion and second to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the plan for load shedding in the city of Oglesby.
I'll second it.
Augubright,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
Curran,
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Discuss centralizing the city's supply purchases. That was on there. Do we need to discuss that now, or table it and try to come up with an idea?
I mean, I'd love to know a little bit more about how much it saves. I know,
Fees, yeah.
yeah, I know I've had a few conversations with Commissioner Udis about this. When I first got in, you know, a couple years ago, I would see like a bill. Now, it wasn't often, but I'd see like a bill on there of running to Menards for a big box of toilet paper. And I thought to myself, we pay somebody $25 an hour to go take time out of their day to run up and get toilet paper for their department. I always thought that was a little silly. So that doesn't happen very often anymore, but I still see some weird purchases like that being made. And so when I see if there's an opportunity that we can centralize some of these basic supplies, not only is it, if it saves us money, fantastic, but to me, it saves us productivity instead of having to pay workers to drive up there to get things like that.
I think we have to take a good hard look. If it saves us money, and saves the city money, we have to take a look at it.
Yeah.
I think maybe the best way to move forward with this is to have each commissioner maybe meet with one of their representatives and go to their departments and meet individually with them to see what their needs are, so they can get an idea how to build a proposal. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Yeah.
Are they
we
the
got
only
some-
one with a state contract? I gotta start there. Cause I feel like there's 800 companies that do this. So that's my first question, but that's, and I'd love to see a fee sheet and all that kind of stuff about,
Well, sure, you'd have to.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
how
think we
many-
should look at that before we start going down to, we're doing it stage and figuring out what each department needs.
We need to understand what the offer is.
Yeah.
I don't know that they can give an offer without understanding our needs, is kind of where I'm coming from. I don't know that they
So have
can
them
do
come
that.
through, do a walkthrough, figure, yeah, for my departments, it's not gonna, you know, there's not a whole bunch of routine supplies, but I don't know for like parks, if there's a lot of that for restocking bathrooms and, you know, I don't know. I know, the maintenance department and stuff, they stock the different city facilities with things. So I don't know how much to save. For my guys, it's not so much the savings of the supplies as I'm concerned it doesn't take them away from the job site to have to go pick things up. But if that's what it takes for them to get out to the sites to see what it all takes, yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
I'll kind of spearhead that. I'll be in touch with them and find out what they need to build up a cost structure, so we have an idea of what our fees will be.
Okay, moving on to old business. I do have one thing under old business. And I got a call the other day and I need to get back with them. Bob Marincek offered us land to build a road to the Oglesby residents north of the railroad bridge. There's about 8 residents. It'd be, I think it'd have to be surveyed, the road has to be redone, but I need to kind of get a pulse on the feelings of this council to make sure that I'm correct in what my response is gonna be.
I would not have a problem taking over and maintaining an existing roadway that gives us access, because it is a weird area that we have residents
We've got
that,
about 8 residents.
that live there, and to get access to it officially, you have to go around through Jonesville to get there, unless you take this alley. The problem, my understanding, is to make this roadway officially a city street is gonna cost an incredible amount of money for us to change that. If this individual wants to go through and make those changes to it, up to the city standards, I wouldn't have a problem if the city took it over then at that point to maintain it.
I think that's the
I-
problem
I-
with the
I-
question.
Well, from my understanding is, they have to give up an extra lot that's near it to expand the existing roadway as well.
It's
so
not wide enough and
it's too steep and it's not wide
enough.
enough.
And all those houses have been there for like 100 years, so they've been going through Jonesville for 100 years, is how I'm looking at it personally.
So my thoughts are, is if he pays for we'll take it off his hands for him and maintain it from there.
I will give him your recommendation, Jason. Public-
I do have one other item. I noticed with the axe throwing thing that we recommended to the commission, we actually approved and voted on that on April 18th to add that, but we also sent several other items to get worked on as well, and we haven't done that yet. One of them was adding the sidewalk requirement to the diagram for the building permit process. Homeowner and contractor to spray paint lines of some kinds to indicate where the fences will be for when the building inspector arrives on site. And then there's 2 modify land development code items as well. And I noticed we haven't done those yet, but I think talking to you before the meeting, you need some more specific language.
Right.
And
I
then,
think Jim and you and I and maybe Tom or whoever need to
okay,
have a clear focus on what it is you want to do, because we're gonna have to publish to change some of these things, so.
okay. And that's 2 different, one's zoning commission and one's plan commission? Okay. All right, well,
Let me ask you, Pat, we have a resident that has a fence on city right of way and refuses to put in a sidewalk in front of their place. What's our course of action?
Can we bulldoze the fence, Pat?
Well, you probably could, but I think you're gonna get in a fight. And that resident has called me several times to talk about this, and.
Is she paying you?
And it wasn't a she that called either, just to let you know. But, you know, it was my understanding from talking to them that the building inspector had given them permission to locate that fence in that particular area. So we get into a very gray area of the law about who pointed the people in the wrong direction here.
there is.
If any of that's true.
There is some, so that's the problem. There is some truth to that. And I say some. So some of these things are gonna solve some of those issues for the future. Like, for example, the fence wasn't marked when he went there. And so what he approved doesn't match what's on the building permit. However, the building permit process could be viewed at differently. So there is some ambiguity there. Plus the problem with where the fence is and stuff like that, there's an issue with one of the issues will solve that, with the modified land development code. And as far as the fence issue, when the building inspector goes out there, hopefully this will solve that problem forever. So not all these issues get solved with this one case in particular, but some of them will get solved and some of them will be solved for the future.
Well, I don't think we're gonna resolve any of this particular issue with changing the code, because that'll only modify things moving forward.
Correct.
It won't modify this particular case. We're gonna have to talk to these landowners and come to some agreement about what it is we want to accomplish and what needs to be changed there. And there's expenses involved in moving fences and doing things too, and all of that's gonna have to be discussed. But it's not a decision I can make for you. It's, you know, something we can talk about, come to some recommendation, and then the board is gonna have to decide what to do.
Okay, so let's meet, I guess we can meet with that and then come up with whatever language so we can get both those boards working on it and.
Jim has been out to that location, I think, several times, and he could probably shed some light on some of this too.
I'm sure he can. Yeah, he does a great job. He's got more patience than I have. Public comments.
I got a couple questions. Does every city employee, are they, for the 40 hours they work or whatever hours they work, is it documented hour by hour for every employee? Because I've worked places where they keep track of you every 6 minutes. They want to know what you're doing. So I want to know, are our employees, is it documented for every week they work, how many hours they work, how many days they work? Doesn't sound like it, does it?
My employees are documented for which days they work and how many hours, but not for
Good,
minute by
I was
minute.
hoping you'd speak up. Recently, I had a contractor at my house, and they also do work for the city of Oglesby. And they happened to be at one of the departments, and he was there for 3 hours. That's 180 minutes. And for those 3 hours, these 3 people in this department, this is what they were doing for 3 hours. So we're paying $40, $45 an hour for somebody to sit there and play with their cell phone for 3 hours? Is that-
That's a pretty serious accusation.
Yeah, yeah, and, do you want the contractor? Huh? Do you want the contractor?
If you'd like to have them talk to me, that'd be fine, but.
No,
Your question doesn't match your comment, though. You asked if we document their work hours.
Listen, when I worked out at the nuke plant, everything is documented, everything, every single hour of the day. It has to be written down, that's where you were, that's what you did.
You didn't ask that question. I don't have it documented
I
where they
said,
were.
Our employees, every single one of them, are they documented for every hour of the day, what they've done for the city of
No.
Oakland before that day?
That's
Then
an
why
8-hour
isn't that way?
period. If they work a full day, it's 8 hours.
Okay. But what did you do for the first 3? What did you do for the second 3? What did you do for the last part of the day?
If you're
Other
making
places
an
do this.
accusation that our people aren't working, spell it out.
Yeah, your electric department. And a lot of times in the summer, you can drive around this town, and I'm talking for hours, and never find them. But you can go down and find them in their little building.
The problem is what you told us is hearsay. We need that person
Yeah.
who witnessed it firsthand.
So let me
to
ask
bring it
you,
to the
what day
council.
was this?
I don't know, but
Okay.
I trust the person,
Okay, I'm
the
just
contractor
asking.
that
I'm
was at
asking
my
that-
house.
I'd like-
So you
Because
did.
he's
you
also
did-
a citizen
Wait a
of
minute.
Oglesby,
Wait a minute, Drew.
and he
Wait a
has the
minute.
right to feel that
Wait a
way.
minute. You said you didn't see him. The contractor said he did. They were down there. Is that correct?
Yeah, and he's a very trusted person.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Who was the
what-
contractor?
Down the street, John.
Just tell me the day. All I want to know
I
is the
can't
day.
tell you the day.
Oh, okay.
But I know this guy ain't lying.
Well, the reason I'd like to know the
Last
day.
year when he said about me, saying that the
Okay.
carnival was washing, I'll have pictures this year.
Okay.
Because they were down
Okay.
there washing trucks, and he called me a liar.
I'm-
He called me a liar.
I'm asking you what day it was because that would let me
Well-
know if there's some
Well,
truth
what
to
I
it.
want to know, this is 2022, and for the amount of wages that we're paying for everybody in the city, it should be documented. Every single hour of the day should
It
be
is
accounted for.
documented. They work 8 hours a day.
Yeah, and they get paid. Where's the documentation
So-
for what they did that
So,
day?
so you're saying you think, in your opinion, you believe the documentation that we have should not just say that they worked 8 hours of regular time. It should be like 30 minutes of this was filling a pothole.
correct. That's
45 minutes of this was down.
And
plowing
that's what they
streets.
did when you worked at the plant?
Yeah, and they're still doing
Well,
it
that was
way.
tough, wasn't
Well-
it?
They're still doing it that way.
Well, our,
Yeah, what was that comment for, Mayor? Huh? What was that comment for?
okay.
They still do it that way. It's a nuclear power
Drew,
plant.
It's a nuclear power
Yeah.
plant, and they
Drew,
work
I'm
under
trying to answer-
different
I'm trying to answer your question
rules.
for you.
When somebody does the work, somebody stands behind them and logs it in.
You're wrong.
Drew,
You're
No,
wrong.
I'm not wrong.
You're wrong. I've never seen you out there. All the years I was out there, Dom, I've never seen you.
I've been at a nuclear plant.
all right.
I've never seen you there. Then why did you have all those years with Ameren if you're such a nuclear expert?
Drew,
Well, I also had 18 years at Ameren, and I also was a business manager that had a nuclear plant.
I was trying to answer your question for you, but I think you're not so interested in the answer because you want to argue about something, but that's fine. That's your right.
How about this? How about every time I want to take you out around town, we try and find these employees?
You think I'm getting in a car with you? Jesus.
Okay,
Anyways,
Drew, thank you for your comments.
all right.
Commissioner reports.
Oh, I have nothing to report tonight.
I don't have anything, Mayor.
Great. Billy?
Nothing tonight.
I do have a couple things. One, the hydrant flushing was complete, no problem at the end of school. The only other thing I wanted to talk about is I have some good news and bad news about our Rebuild Illinois grant. The good news is the results are finally in. The bad news is we did not get it. And I applaud the DCEO for how challenging their job has got to be. When I look at some of the awardees and the grants and how much it was for and what it was for, I am a little disheartened. But I'm imagining there's 320 other municipalities right now that probably feel the exact same thing. So I'm not here to debate what city needed the money more than others. I am upset when I see things like stabilize and restore the facade of Coronado Performing Arts Center for $720,000 when it's a infrastructure grant, so I don't understand that. But, so I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get it, but more importantly, I'm disappointed that it took almost 2 years to get the results. Because if we would have gotten these results a year and a half ago, I know one of the items that we talked about, and I know Tommy disagreed, but for example, we could have had the option to go out for a bond to see if we could solve some of these issues. There's so much time has gone by, that is no longer even an option. So upset about all the stuff that's going on, disappointed in the administration. What we're started with now is we did have backup plans. We had the original plan to fix Walnut Street, which would be about $800,000. I do want to give credit to Lance Greathouse. He has another solution that they're going to work with Chamlin's. There might be a solution that is significantly cheaper to solve our issue on Walnut Street. And what I'm talking about the issue to where we can't isolate if Walnut Street goes bad to where the city had to shut down. I think there's been 2 cases to where we had to close schools, college had to close, business had to close, if there's a water break within like a 3/4 mile area. So the good news is they're working on it now for a solution, and by next meeting, I hopefully have something to put up that we can solve it for good. That's all I got.
I just got a couple things. I want to thank the Axe Church for donating the material and labor and painting the striping of the city parking lot on Walnut Street across from City Hall. They donated the material and labor for the project this year. This year, during Axe Church Hope Week, they donated 600 man-hours of labor to various community projects. The city of Oglesby thanks them for their generosity. Fun days are here again. We need everyone's help and support to make it happen. This is a family-friendly event. As always, we need volunteers. We need your support to grow the 50/50 jackpot, and we need everybody's help to support to make it successful. A letter went out today to the landlords on Walnut Street. We're looking for help with the parking issue. I've scheduled a meeting to meet with them next Monday at 6 p.m. That's all I have, and we'll go to the next thing on the agenda, closed session. 5 ILCS 120/2, parentheses C, parentheses L. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of the public body or legal counsel of the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. Can't say that. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of the public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed session and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with the Act. 5 ILCS 120/2, parentheses C, parentheses 5. The purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired.
I will make that motion.
I hope so.
Alderwright.
Aye.
Cullen.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Navarro.
Aye.
I don't have any water for you.
That was done the wrong way. I'll hit the water fountain on the way out.
Yes, sir.
So how do you decide who gets turned off when the time comes?
So, that is a great question, and I can't go into the details. Originally, I was gonna put out the details of that, but again, it's the recommendation of IMEA, that we're not gonna go into the specifics of that. But in general, I can say this is gonna be based on the load factor.
No, I'm not quite clear, but I know that.
I don't know what that exactly means.
That son of a bitch ain't never worked.
I'd have to turn off.
And I've been in that power class, and I do know how they operate.
Power factor, or a higher power factor, there's one bad load factor, power factor. So we're gonna focus on those first. two different options that I'm gonna talk about in the plan. The letter will go out. Since it is gonna be approved, I probably can't give it to you now if you're interested. But, there is, if we know 24 hours in advance, and if we know immediately. 24 hours in advance, we'll be able to give businesses a heads up to try to dial in what percentage we need to shut down. But if it's something that they tell us, hey, 15 minutes, the entire city loses power, or you need to cut 30%. If that's the case, we're gonna take out large sections of business. My goal is to not touch any residents or senior housing whatsoever. It'll be on the business side first, and that's what we're gonna have for a meeting for the date of June 13th at 2 p.m. If any businesses want any specifics. So we'll definitely give everybody all the detailed information they need to know, but it will never be out on a public document.
Would you be doing like a rotating blackout, like we'll do this part of town, around this part of town?
So probably, I don't really know. First of all, it's never happened before, and there's no specific thing for it. What we're assuming would happen is the IME will call and say, hey, we need to have a 20% power reduction in the city's load. Generally, like for example, last year we came close to this happening, and it only lasted about 3-4 hours. It was really hot, like 95 degrees. So if it does ever happen, it's only going to be for a very short period of time. I don't expect this to be something that would be a routine thing that would happen for multiple days in a row or anything like that. No, and we don't know what the amount would be. So basically what it is so there's not a power supply problem. The problem is it's not a capacity issue. The issue is how much can come from a certain direction. So because there's so many power plants that are shut down in a certain area, if it gets so hot, they might only be able to distribute or transmit so much power across the lines to us. So then because the temperature is so hot, they might say you need to do a 20% reduction. And that only lasts as long as the heat's going to last, for example. But again, there's no specific rules for this. It's never had to happen yet. Hopefully it doesn't happen this year or any other year. But we're putting something out just to let people know in case it does. And creating an establishment that if we ever had to lose power for like the entire town, there's a means and a place that the elderly can come to.
Do something on so they can stay cool down.
Correct. The very last places, I don't plan to ever shut it. We'll never choose to shut down the schools. We'll never choose to shut down the elderly housing that we have. I have an area called the Stover in town that has all the senior housing. Those areas will be the absolute last. However, they only encompass 10% of the people.
City residents help by looking stuff that they're not using, or
They could, and that's something we haven't really talked about and want to do. That's a real tough thing to do because what happens is the IMEA says, hey, I need you to cut 20% power in the next 15 minutes. It's very difficult for us to go out on Facebook or Code Red that says, hey, everybody turn off your toasters.
Well, I don't mean like on that. I realize you couldn't do that because if they're not doing that, well, the transients are left in. But to get people in their regular habit of maybe so that would be difficult.
Yeah, those are all things that's going to be helpful. But generally, the problem is, I know I'm getting way to get downstairs, sorry, I always love talking to you. But generally, the problem is always going to be, oddly enough, it's always between like 5 and 7 p.m. That's the biggest problem with the biggest heat index is that people need to use more power. Yep, for example. Yes, sir. Hopefully it'll never have to happen.
Or if they've got electric on-demand water heaters and they're cooking.
All those things kind of hurt too, yes, sir. Sorry to cut you short, sir. I apologize. Thank you.
helicopter, which, I mean, that's a helicopter, no matter how you look at it. Cool.
Yeah.
And, what was the third one? There was three of them.
Yeah.
And they were in the red before Vietnam. And then Vietnam, huge contract.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing, though, war is very profitable,
Always been.
but that being said, I mean, the defense industry employs a lot of people in this country, though, that's kind of the issue, is you get places like Virginia, I mean, everybody there works, or not, a sizable chunk of the population there works in the defense industry, so, you know, as far as cutting military spending is concerned, too, I mean, that's an issue you're into, if you can displace those people and have them out of work.
There's another guy, he's like Ken Burns, that's what he does, and he did one on Iraq. And, while our guys were over there in Iraq, and I talked to a guy I know, he was in Iraq, and one of them. They get this mesh bag.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they bring in a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Each mesh bag of clothing due $100. This special was also showing how they buy the local, soda. It's got all the, like, Islamic, printing and stuff on it, instead of flying it in from Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And, they were paying like, I wanna say it was like $40 per case, and that was, 1991. You know, it's the same old thing, war is money.
Yeah.
War is money. What color is gold? They're from Sweden, right? Yeah, I think Chevy bought them, and, Ford bought them. Nice, I like that. Oh, did you get the, what we got here?
Yeah, that's similar.
Yes, it does, that's what, the Evoque, it reminds me of the Evoque.
Yeah. What brand's do though?
The Land Rover, it's,
Oh, I like that.
it's their second one, yeah, my friend from Sally's wife, she inspects all the subways,
Yeah.
that's what she drives.
I love them, I hear that they're like terrible, like when it comes to reliability on it.
Yeah.
So,
They got that, they still got some of that
English
English technology, yeah. Oh, back you asked your dad, back in the '70s, if you had an MG or a Triumph or any of those little ones, they had the most horrible wiring harnesses.
yeah.
So a lot of guys that would get them would just replace the damn wiring harness right from the start because, they were just, nothing would work right. At least a little bit of moisture or something, and you were stranded.
Yeah.
They were nice little cars, but, electronics were horrible.
Yeah. No, I like this. I had that Toyota when I like that, but my lease was coming due, and I was like, I saw this was they had a pre-owned and no loss allowing for 22,000 miles on it for it, so a little rough, and
So you know it.
yeah,
low gas without that added, and what a lot of people don't know is by using that all the time, it dry rots all of your vacuum lines and stuff, because, that alcohol is what it is, all it is alcohol. Yeah. And I hate getting it rock roasted, but it's exactly right, it takes more energy to produce ethanol than the actual wood.
Well, and see, that's the issue more than even the lobbyists is I guess lobbyists are part of the issue. And I guess the corn lobbyists would be part of that issue, right, and all that. We just have a lot of people like to complain about people on welfare, but what's even worse than that is the businesses, the consultants, the businesses that always have their hands out looking for something. So like, for instance, in California, was trying to build that high-speed rail line throughout the state. You had all these people that were either filing suit, you had labor unions, you had all these different people that were trying to get their cut of that high-speed rail money, and it ended up bankrupting the project, and they had to only build a fourth of the line or something like that. That's an issue. Is anything that you want to do in this country, everybody always has their hand out looking for a cut.
What happened, this whole line around the Cree Airport, they hired his buddy Flumka, the one doctor from, Cornell.
Yeah.
I forgot what he paid, I think he only paid like 50 or 60,000.
Yeah.
He sold it for like, 1.3 or 1.4.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Him and Baker and all his buddies, they bought up all that property around there, There's some of them, they moved their businesses and stuff out there.
Yeah.
No Chapman, they moved their business out there.
Yeah, no, that's the issue, is everything's always overbudgeted, undercosted, so now there's benefit from something like that, and it's.
Get in there and get at it.
So Amy, I think we need to, that draft letter that we just approved tonight, we should probably clean that up to get it out to all the businesses, because there's an option where they can come on the 13th of June to ask questions.
All the businesses you need, literally all the businesses.
Too many folders. No, we'll have to get the emblems on it. I'm hoping they pay for that out of like their association. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask.
I used to go there too, yeah. It's kind of a new modern building.
Yeah, Dorsey's.
Yeah, exactly.
You bring the Oglesby Council back into session?
I'll make a motion to go back into open session.
Second.
Albright.
Aye.
Solomon. Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
Aye. Need a motion and second to adjourn?
Well,
wait,
first,
wait,
first
I'm
I want
sorry.
We gotta
I'll make a
table.
motion that we table ordinance number 1196-051622 until next meeting.
Second.
Albright.
Aye.
Solomon. Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Yes, for me too.
Oh, Rivera, I'm sorry. Still writing. I'm sorry.
Now I need a,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Albright.
Aye.
Solomon. Curran.
Aye.
Udis.
Aye.
Rivera.
aye.
So I think it was called Darcy's Ranch.
So how long has the city been doing without that one ambulance?
I'd have to look at my records to find out when the crash was exactly. It's been a few weeks.
3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Let me look out there a second.
Hey, Jason,